Oh, faith. When we step into belief, all kinds of things happen. The universe shows up in radiant ways, and it's amazing. There were, in the lyrics of one of the songs that we were singing, it said something about there are those who are saying the end is near. They've been saying the end is near for a long, long time. I'm very excited about that. I would like that to be true, because that's a reference to the old way of thinking and the old way of believing that has kept us frenetic, right? When they say the end is near, when we say the end is near, what does that really mean? The beginning is about to happen, right? So stepping into a whole new faith-filled way of being is what we're doing today. That old frenetic mindset can be summed up. There's a saying, I love this, it really sums it up. He leapt from his chair, raced out of the room, leapt onto his horse, and rode off madly in all directions. Right? That's what it can feel like when we're not in that sort of balanced way of dealing with life, because life happens. And as practical Christians, and that's what we're referred to in Unity, as practical Christians, metaphysicians, we know the proof is actually in the pudding. And we live in this environment that God has provided for us so that we will, you will, I will, develop and use everything and everyone that God gives us holistically, so that we will nurture and nourish ourselves with every shred of evidence there is that's put before us. Is some of that negative? Yes. Is some of that positive? Yes. Thus is the soup of life formed. And we can live into that. Because you and I came fully equipped with the capacity to do all things with God. With that presence and power, we can't ever know exactly how it's going to happen. That's part of the thrill of it. That's part of the frustration of it. And in the midst of it, we can surface the God-given power that is within us. Those powers have been captured and put into a modality that Charles Filmore taught, wrote of, and encourages you and me to use. And it is about the number 12 at the very beginning. 12 is a powerful number. It's actually considered to be a perfect number in our numbering system. And it stands for many things. But I would sum it up by saying it stands for spiritual completion. It stands for wholeness, oneness. The number 12 is used 189 times in the Old and New Testament, so you know it's got to be pretty powerful. It is actually a trinity times 4. It is 3 times 4. 4 is the number for manifestation. Whoa, manifestation. Bringing things, popping them into this dimension, the visible dimension from the realm of ideas, the invisible realm, out of which everything comes. First created in thought, and then indeed it pops into our lives. And so we've seen how 12 is played out in the Bible. 12 is active in our lives every day, every day. There are 12 disciples, 12 hours in the day, 12 hours in the night, 12 inches in a foot, 12 months in a year. You see how we've been using this? 12 days of Christmas, 12 tribes of Israel, 12 pillars of Moses' altar, 12 thrones of man. 12 has been an ancient number, and it's used, and we see it in every single systemology that man has thought to create, because we have created some stuff. Charles Filmore did that as well. He created and draws our attention so that we can pay attention to it. The 12 powers as avenues of expressing the gifts that God has given you. Are we differently gifted? Yes, we are. We have many, many different gifts, and that's gone through in 1 Corinthians. We have many gifts. And yet you and I have all of these in common. They are ways to express the presence and power of God. So I like to think of them as 12 expressways, right? So we're going to be invited every week for the next 3 months, 12 weeks, to get on the expressway of expressing this power in more unific ways in your life. When I was a little girl, and actually Janine and I just were referring to this slightly in our conversation here in the front row, When I was growing up in Unity, and many of you who are students of Unity have studied the 12 powers, and the acronym that I was given, that we studied, made no sense at all. You ready? Lip, juice, flows. Lip, juice, flows. Life, imagination, power, judgment, understanding, zeal, elimination, faith, love, order, wisdom, and strength. And we were to remember that acronym, and it was like, lip juice flows. So a few years ago, with a man who was in my congregation in Roanoke, we came up with a different acronym. We came up with one that works. Faith will power us. You like that? Let's say it together. We're going to be learning all, but you're going to be with this. We're going to immerse ourselves in it in these 12 weeks. Faith will power us. Let's say it again together. Faith will power us. Faith calls up an electromagnetic field in which we live and love and have our being. And it energizes our ability to use these powers. Faith does power us, and faith will power us as we lean into it this very day. So faith will power us. This is how I came to remember that acronym, and this is what it stands for. So here it is. Faith. And we moved a few more modern terms into the 12 powers, so they are actually recognized by the Filmore. So it's not quite so Victorian. So the acronym is faith, will, imagination, love, life, power, order, wisdom, enthusiasm, release. Ooh, I like that a lot better than elimination. What's the other one? Release, understanding, and strength. Let's say these together. Faith, will, imagination, love, life, power, order, wisdom, enthusiasm, release, understanding, and strength. And I'll be really honest with you, the way that I learned it and practiced it was that in the morning, after I had my stretch and my delicious time, I would do my crunches to this. So I invite you into that. And what you do is one for every letter. So it's faith, W.I.L.L.I.M.A.G.I. It's really great for your core energy, I'm just saying. Each power has a color. So each week, these are going to pop out with a different color. Each power has a color. Each power has a location in the body that is very much in accordance with the Chinese meridians and our chakras. Bless you, though the colors are not. Bless you again. Woohoo, go Bonnie. Each power has a disciple, and each power brings up abilities, capabilities that have been given to us when we came onto the earth plane that we can enhance. So our very first power is faith. The color of that power is blue. Blue is a prevalent color on our earth plane because it encapsulates our experience as above, so below. It's in the skies on an open blue sky day, and it's in the waters that are below us. We can see the reflection and feel as if we are immersed in Mother Mary energy. Blue is the color of faith. In the Revealing Word, which is this wonderful dictionary of metaphysical terms that was produced by the Filmores, available in our bookstore, Charles Filmore says this of faith. Faith is the perceiving power of the mind, linked with the power to shape substance. It is spiritual assurance, the power to do the seemingly impossible. Now, the location of this power of faith is very significant because it is in the center of the head, the center of the brain. It's actually at the confluence of the two hemispheres, left and right, in the area of the corpus callosum, though that is referred to by the name of the pineal gland. And the pineal gland is also, when we think of intuition, referred to as the third eye. I want to invite you just to tap your third eye. By tapping your third eye, of course, you call that energy forth. You also calm it. But the pineal gland itself is an endocrine gland. It's an endocrine gland that produces melatonin. Do we like melatonin? Do we love melatonin? Oh, we love some melatonin, right? Because it actually is derived from tryptophan. And tryptophan regulates our bodies, regulates our sleep cycles, regulates our rhythm, the circadian rhythm, so that you and I can be viable beings here on the earth plane. So it's so important to keep our faith alive, as the song says. And as we move from outside perception, because here it is, located right in the middle, so between the eyes and the ears. Now, we can think that we are actually supposed to perceive things with the eyes, physical eyes, and the physical ears, and yes, of course we do. However, to listen and use the inward vision that we've been given is to use the third eye, the intuition. It is to access it and quicken it. And it's also how we access and quicken our beliefs. So in very practical terms, if you find yourself disbelieving, or you find yourself tested by life, rather than looking at it and saying, how did I create this? Which is metaphysically, by the way. Metaphysical malpractice, we call it. Do not be doing that, tracing it back. Go, oh, look what life is presenting. And it may look like this. Oh, look what life is presenting. Either way, God's grace is at work in your life. And in that moment, you lift your belief and know that God is good and active in your life, in your universe, and is the only presence, the only thing that's happening. Your faith is lifted, your belief is lifted, and you're able to face it. With faith, we stay steadfast. We stay on course. We continue running the race. And in that framework, we're ready for a miracle. Anything can happen in that place because you are now in transformed and transforming consciousness, which is a faith-filled consciousness. You're open and receptive. Your mind is open and receptive, and that's where miracles happen. In fact, we can look at the metaphysics of all these miracles. So the very first miracle that appeared in the Bible in the New Testament with Jesus, as he tapped into his Christed self, was he changed what into what? Water into wine. All that means, beloved, is that a very simple element, a core element or experience that is before you, when you pray over it and you bless it, when you recognize it for what it is, it's the quality of that experience is enhanced. It's brought to a new level. It actually will enhance your immune system. It will give you antioxidants as you breathe into it, as you recognize it. Melatonin is being released. Tryptophan is being released. Good drugs are being released into your body so that you will stay in the presence of God. And then you'll see the miracle that's taking place because it always does. He changed water into wine. When we heal, that's exactly what's going on. The place of injury immediately begins to heal. As soon as we recognize that healing, we pray into it, we give thanks for it, gratitude for it, it quickens. It's law. It's the way it is. If we kvetch about it, we keep the wound open. We keep the wound fresh. You see how that works so quickly? In this consciousness, we manifest food where we think there is no food. We begin to pour oil where there's just a drop of oil. Actually, we raise the dead. That which seems to have died in our life is transformed into new life. We call forth the life force within whatever it is for its next iteration that will bless us. We walk on water. We don't get caught up in the wetness and get pulled down. Because in fact, what's happening is we're transfiguring. We're transfiguring into our light body by coming up into the area of the third eye, and in that place, there's only grace. The 10th century Sufi mystic Muhammad Kafif said this of faith. Faith is the belief of the heart in that knowledge which comes from the unseen. The unseen is informing us. In the book of Mark, in fact, in all the synoptic gospels, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, there Jesus says, have faith. And not just have faith in God. Have faith in whatever you believe at the deepest parts of you or know to be true is the possible, doable truth, because it is the truth that will set you free. And there is no deficiency in you whatsoever. Are we called to grow? Yes. Are we called to learn new skills? Yes. Thank you, God. And there is no deficiency in you. You're made in the image and likeness of God. Now, faith has a lot of different definitions, a lot of boxed-in thinking, and I am calling you today to the infining of faith, the living of faith, in the infinite experiences that you'll be having this week that'll call you to bring your faith forward. Well, one of the best definitions is, we find it in a letter that was written to the Hebrews. Now, the Hebrews, in Hebrews, the letter is written to those people who are early Christians, who are just considering they're ready to give up a faith that they've been raised in. They're ready to give up a culture. Their families are not necessarily going to be happy about that. When you made the changes you've made, your family didn't always go, amen, did they? No. Sometimes they went, huh? Are you kidding me? You can even get rejected when you step into the Christed self of you. Your Buddhic nature is so still and quiet, and people may be used to you responding or reacting like, out of your fear and stress. And they may not want you. They may not understand how it is that now you stay still. And yet the call is to stay still, to be faith-filled. And so our definition here in Hebrews is beautiful. Starts with the word now. Let's notice that. It starts with the word now. It doesn't say long ago when things were in the sweet by and by, or in the way over here when things are better. Now. Right now. Now, faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. So that what is seen was made out of the things which do not yet appear. Faith may not come all at once like a mighty thud in your life. It may not come like a bolting of light, that knocked Saul, just knocked him out with recognition of the Christ presence within him. And he converted. It may not happen like that. It may happen over a period of time. Doesn't matter. What is true is that faith grows when it's encouraged. Everything does, right? Like you're talking to a plant. Like you're talking to a child. Faith grows when we recognize it and call it forth. It waits on invitation. Peter was the first disciple that was invited by Jesus to come into ministry. Peter was a fisherman. He was Simon Peter at the time. And Peter it's Peter that represents faith. He went through a change, this guy. Simon Peter was he's a perfect one for faith because he was probably the most wavy, changeable disciple that we have. When we look at him, he was always going, huh? What? Me? Who? Constantly doing that. I don't know if you've experienced that yourself. But Peter was like that. As Simon Peter, he wanted so much to believe. And as he was called forth, even though he wavered and even though he didn't understand what he was saying yes to, he put down his entire livelihood. He put down his fishing poles, he put down his nets, he put down his boat, and he followed his highest calling. So not even being the kind of person who trusted easily, he said, yes, I will follow this. I will step into my faith. And one day, Jesus was around a whole group of disciples, and he said, who do people say I am? By the way, I'm just wondering, what's out there? What's the gossip about me? Who are they saying I am? And one of the disciples said, Abraham. One said Elijah. Simon Peter, said this, you are the Christ, the Son of the living God. And in that moment, Jesus said, you are Peter. Boom, name change. He went from Simon to Peter. That name in Aramaic is Cephas. In Greek, it is Petros, and it means rock. You are Peter. You are a rock. In your knowing that you are divine and that each and every one of us is divine, I affirm you. Metaphysically, he was basically saying, when we have faith, you and I stand rock solid. You get that? What am I supposed to do? I'm feeling like, time for faith. Whoa. Rock solid, ready. Ready with your chi, ready to meet whatever comes to you, ready to even be a spiritual matador and move to the side to let the energy just flow in belief, in faith, believing. Or you could say, Jesus meant faith rocks. I like that one. Faith rocks. I think that's really what he was saying. Can you imagine if you and I responded to ourselves and to others who are wondering about who they are, especially if they are putting out negative behaviors? It's a way of getting attention. We got a lot of attention for it when we were little. When we collapse into our childishness, we can do that. Imagine if in response to that, you looked at them and you said, you are the Christ, the daughter, the son of the living God. It is said that there's an indigenous tribe of people that when a child is born, as the child is in utero, a song begins to form sort of collectively in the community. And when the child is born, this song is sung at the birth. The song is sung to the child. The song is about their divinity. The song is the truth of who they are. The song says, we, as a community, we see you. We welcome you. We waited for a long time for you to come. Thank you for being here. It is congratulatory. It is honoring. It is amazing. Each song is different for each child that is born. That song is sung at their birth. And it's said that if that child, no matter what age that child gets to be, forgets their song, perhaps does something against themselves or another in the tribe, what they do in response is they call a circle. They stand and circle with one another. They form the circle early in the day, and they stay in that circle until everyone who needs to speak has spoken. And what happens is they put the child, the elder, the human being that has responded out of their fear, out of their stress, out of their need to get attention, in the center of the circle. And then one by one, if they need to speak, they step forward one by one and tell that person how they have touched their life. They tell that person what they have done that has blessed them. There's no mention at all of what they did that was wrong or hurtful. Step back into the circle, and the next person comes forward and shares how that person has touched their life. And they continue to do that until everyone who needs to speak has spoken, and then together as a spiritual community of unconditional love, they sing that person's song back to them to help them remember the truth and be set free. That's what we're here to do, to hold that faith with each other and to just notice that we have a choice as to how we respond. We don't have to jump on a horse and ride off in all directions. You can face whatever comes with a faith. I saw this on a sign at a church, a faith lift. Oh, yeah. Right? Today's a day for a faith lift. Come on in. Come on down. In Matthew 9:22, it says, your faith has made you well. You get that person that's speaking there, who that's being spoken of? Your faith makes you well. You'll see it when you believe it. I'd like to just ask, can I, those are nice glasses you've got. Can I borrow those just for a moment? It probably costs a lot of money, huh? Yeah. They help you see? They're really great. would you, these glasses cost a lot of money, and they really help people see. The person who owns them is helped so much with her perception. Would you put those on for you? Want to wear those for a second? How's it look? Can you see better? You can see, no, not really. You can't do, but she can see better with those glasses on. So if you believe that you could, would you be able to see better? Or no, you probably have your own way of seeing things. Okay, good. Thank you so much. I keep those glasses. No, isn't it cool that each of us gets our own prescription? We all have our different ways of perceiving things. We all have the faith we need within us. But it is your focus. It is your perception that colors your life. It is your heartedness, your faithfulness that will open your inner vision and at the same time open your outer vision so you can see God is just working in your life. That's all that's happening. You get to focus your faith. It makes all the difference. And so having all the faith you can possibly ever have, just ask yourself this week, where am I investing my faith? As you call it up, just know God is your help in every need. God does your every hunger feed. God walks beside you and guides your way through every moment of the day. May this be a faith-filled week for you. God bless you.